There will be businesses that participated in the water retail market when the market opened. There'll be businesses that switched 3 years ago and they need to revise their contracts. And there'll be tens of thousands of businesses who have not even engaged with the market for whatever reason. They might not have the confidence to do it. They might not have any representation. But there are a huge number of businesses that haven't switched. There's a huge number of businesses that are on deals that aren't particularly very good in terms of their overall savings. There's a huge number of customers that are overpaying. I'm seeing contracts that were signed 1 or 2 years ago where the tariffs applied to the bills are incorrect, amounting to tens of thousands of pounds of overpayments. As regards how many businesses are being overcharged at the minute, I think with a high degree of confidence, I would say 7 out of 10 businesses in the United Kingdom are being overcharged on their bills.
7 out of 10 businesses are overpaying on their water bills.
This is what the data from customers that sign up with us. It's 7 out of 10. I can think of one care home business that's been with us probably 7, 8, 9 years, and the savings of refunds have been £750,000, and that's all down to overcharging, and that's a huge amount of money. It's a huge amount of money. I don't. We've covered this once or twice, haven't we, for different subjects in different categories, and we drift onto the same subject because market deregulation was supposed to help customers, give them choice, which is what it does, create competition, which is what it does, and make savings for customers, which it does to a more or lesser degree depending on your geographical location. Now in Scotland, there's 20-30% savings if you can switch because of the default charging arrangements up there. England is 5 to 10% difference. But the emphasis has to be on getting your bills right, checking the charges. And when market was deregulated, all the data from all the businesses and the public sector went into an electronic filing cabinet, and that's the central marketing operating system. So all the data's in there. And then when a retailer wants to bill a customer, they extract the data from that system, the wholesale market data. They then put it into their billing system, and then they add their retail margin. They're there to bill. They cannot possibly check whether or not the wholesale charges are correct. And invariably, they're not. Now, I think 2 weeks ago, we put through a client spending £1 million a year. So it's a £3 million water retail contract. Manufacturing across 22 sites. We've already found one site with a £35,000 a year overcharge. So there's £300,000 to £400,000 to come back. And that's gone on for years. And when I say 7 out of 10, I can quite confidently, if I was to look at 7 out of 10 or 10 customers, 7 out of those 10 customers would have been overcharged to a more or lesser degree. And it's quite a serious situation we've got in the UK. It's one which, we're extremely passionate about. In fact, I'm citing another case study, yet another one. A care home company had just switched water supplier, and the FD said, well, we've switched, there's nothing more that can be done. So, well, we'll audit your bills and see if anything can be saved. And on one site, they were paying for the water twice. There was a meter in the pavement, there's a meter inside the building, and so they were being billed twice for the same supplier. We've recently got that money back, and there's been other charges as well, £18,000 overcharge just on that. And they've been with this supplier now a year. Previous supplier was 3, 4, 5 years. So it's not for the retailer to audit the bills, it's for the customers to check that the bills are correct, because the retailer has no way of knowing what the charges are until the wholesaler sends them a bill, and they've no way of knowing whether those charges are correct or not. So they can't really drill down on the charges. That's specialist work that businesses such as switchwatersupplier.com do on a regular basis.
How angry does this make you?
Well, it does fire me up, because I think there was a misconception that the market was deregulated so that customers could save lots of money and choose their supplier. Well, they can choose a supplier to a certain extent, of course they can. But so much in the transition between a nationalised business and then deregulated business, in that transition, it's got worse, not better. You know, the processing of incorrect charging and for refunds is taken 200% more, if you can have a percentage of that. You know, it can take you months and months and months. We're working on cases that go back 2 and 3 years on incorrect charging. Basic stuff, you know. And we're not the only business. There are other businesses out there that provide water consultancy services, but it's only when we actually switch the supplier and the bills come to us for bill validation and verification that we start drilling down on that. So I think the biggest one we've seen is a hotel group where they were being overcharged nearly £70,000 a year. And the procurement director said, we got a deal, I've dealt with it. Well, there's 3 hotels that are on the wrong tariff, and they've been like that for 2 years. So the money you thought you were saving on your retail fee has gone out for overcharge, 150,000. They spend £1 million a year. One could say that what's 150 grand overcharge, but it's a serious amount of money, isn't it? But it takes you months to get it back. Could take 6 to 9 months to get this money back. So I don't know how we deal with it. At the end of the day, it's when the bills land on our desk once we switch the supplier, that's the road to future savings. That's the road to making sure your bills are correct. And we do work with retailers to correct these charges. So it's not their fault. It's not. It's the wholesale water market that's at fault with this. And the retailers are just billing in accordance with the wholesale market data. So, yeah, strange times.
I'm going to leave that there.